Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Rotary Club meeting. It's a nice big crowd here, so I appreciate everybody being here today for this great program we've got. Okay, please stand with me and we'll do the invocation and then the pledge. Okay, please pray with me. Dear God, thank you for today, and thank you for all those in this room and those who couldn't be here, Lord. Just ask that you'll bless the food, let it nourish our body, and just help us to do right by you as we serve as Rotarians here and beyond in our communities, Lord. Please be with our elected officials as well. Just help guide and lead them, Lord. Just help them to act and serve in a way that's pleasing to you. And again, thank you for all that you do for us. You truly bless us beyond more than we deserve. Amen. Okay, attention, salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are delighted to see a whole bunch of guests here today. It might have something to do with our speaker writer. I'm gonna call your names, and when I do, if you would stand, please. And if you do not want to see me reading these until 1 o'clock, I suggest no applause after each one. So just stand, please, and just be recognized. We have two guests of Amy Randall, Michael Oliver and Joanne Abed. You could stand, you're here. And a guest of Roger Heitzig is Jeff Brown. We have three members of the club, guests of the club, Cody Simpson, Kennard Lisbon, and Caroline McKissick. The problem with you sitting in your chair and waving is that the people over there can't see you. So thank you. Thank you. That's good. Okay. This is a lesson in public relations and PR. Okay. Rebecca Maddox is a guest of Elizabeth Rader. Donna Raines is a guest of Anne-Marie Schell. Brian Davis is a guest of Kendra Williams. Jeff Boss and Bob Knight are guests of Philip Kilgore. Becca Stifel is a guest of Joel Jones. Walter Kaufman is a guest of Rusty Infinger. Marty Shore, guest of Bill Raines. Amy Albert and Josh Diaz, guests of Amy Randall. She brought a whole table, apparently. Don Ferguson is a guest of Jim Puryear. Mike Ryan is a guest of Penny Robbins. And Kathy Seidel is also a member of Penny. Lily Gabriel is a guest of Elizabeth Razor. Garrison Smith is also a guest of Elizabeth. Mike Bays is a guest of Ryan Brown. We welcome Hugh and Rita Burgess, who are guests from the Anderson Club. Steve Lancel had to come along. He's my guest. Adius, sorry about this one. Keita is also a guest of the club. Sorry about the pronunciation. Jim Bannister is a guest of Philip Kilgore. Jeremy Ackles is a guest of Marty Elliott. And the award for maybe the most number of people coming here, Sandra Nyblom brought Mark Nyblom, Tracy Lamb, Gary Phillips, keep standing, Jason Phillips, and Lynette Niskanen. Thank you, everybody.
It is my honor, pleasure, and all of those kinds of things to be up today as a member of the Service Above Self Scholarship Committee to reintroduce to most of us and introduce to some of the newcomers our 2022 Service Above Self Scholar, Victor Madison Jr., just BJ. And he's a 22 graduate of Malden High School. He is beginning his second year at Clemson as a junior. I don't know how that works. Yeah, well, you can be replaced, Roger. Just be quiet. But in addition to all of his other stuff that he does, and this past spring. He was an initiative Kappa Lambda chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity at Clemson. And you say, well, you know, that's kind of what freshmen do. They join a fraternity. Well, not VJ. He doesn't just join a fraternity. He ends up being a strategist on the undergraduate board for the southeastern province of the whole international fraternity. So in his spare time, you know, he does these kinds of things. Now, some of you may remember this if you were here when we introduced him last time. Just keep your eye on the papers, because at some point you will hear his name and he will be noted to be the only hip-hop astrophysicist in the world. It'd be VJ Madison. VJ, come up and share with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know how much better of an introduction I can do than Dr. Burt just did for me, but as always, it is an honor to speak in front of everyone today. As he said, my name is VJ Madison. I am a sophomore at Clemson University, majoring in physics. This year, again, I'm the 2022 scholar for Rotary Service Above Self Scholarship. This year, I was able to, you have to complete 100 service hours. I did a lot this year, but I will highlight the 5 that stood out to me. And throughout the year, I had the privilege of being a part of many impactful community service initiatives. So, the first is through a community service initiative called Project Flow. Collaborating with my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, at the Kappa Lambda chapter of Clemson University, we dedicated our efforts to support and uplift young women by distributing and providing them with access to essential personal hygiene products. We were able to contribute to a cause that addresses a critical need and empower young women with the resources that they deserve. Second, I had the pleasure of working alongside the dedicated team at Mill Village Food Share. Engaging with the company, I played a role in the biweekly distribution of meals and the setup and breakdown of the village launch markets. Collaborating with the Mill Village Food Share team highlighted the impact that a collective team can have to helping others. Third, I undertook a significant role in engaging and enriching summer camp experience at T-Motion Dance and After School. This is where the bulk of my service came from, and it's near and dear to my heart. It's actually I want to say the reason that I was chosen as a scholar. Dr. Bird said, I am a dancer, and that's where the majority of my service comes from. I love teaching dance to kids and adults alike. But I undertook this role, and my responsibility included, but was not limited to, a range of tasks such as instructing dance sessions, coordinating transportation for the children to and from activities, managing the daily cleanup and breakdown of the camp area, and fostering a mentally stimulating environment by conducting school-related activities to prepare the kids for the upcoming academic school year. Fourth, I engaged in a fulfilling service opportunity with Upstate Circle of Friends, where I participated in farm management. Through hands-on work, I contributed to planting, nurturing, and harvesting various crops. Not only was I able to support local initiatives, but I also deepened my understanding of the connections between nature, food production, and community engagement. Fifth, but not finally, I actively contributed to the annual Back to School Bash for Greenville's District 25 Family and Fun Day. This event was a dynamic platform to support local families as they prepare for the upcoming school year. From organizing sponsorship banners to unloading and arranging essential school supplies for the distribution to setting up tables and chairs, I was able to be a part of the Back to School Bash, and it was a testament to the positive impact that organized efforts can have on fostering education and unity within our community. In reflection, this year has been a journey of service and community engagement that I am immensely proud of. Each experience reaffirmed the impact that individuals such as us can make when we come together to create positive change in the lives of others. Thank you all so much.
Good afternoon. It's a great day in the life of any Rotary Club when we recognize a Paul Harris Fellow. And while I'm starting my remarks, I'd like for Bill Raines to join me. Paul Harris Fellow is named after our founder of Rotary, Paul Harris. It represents a significant donation to the Rotary Foundation, which as Rotarians, we know that is our way of funding the good we do in the world. Bill Raines has been a member of this club like forever, but we're not recognizing Bill today as a Paul Harris Fellow because he already is one. I would also like for his daughter, Laura, to join us today. Bill reached out to me a couple months ago and said he would like to make a donation that would make Laura a Paul Harris Fellow. We have had a number of father-son combinations in this Rotary Club. I may be wrong, but I think this is our first father-daughter combination. So Laura, you know your dad loves you, but he also wanted you to be a Paul Harris Fellow. So this is on behalf of the Rotary Board of Trustees. And Bill, I will let you pin your daughter. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to introduce our speaker. Henry Dargan McMaster of Columbia became the 117th governor of South Carolina on January 4th, 2017, following then Governor Nikki Haley's appointment as United States Ambassador to the United Nations. He was elected to a full term as our governor in November 2018. Governor McMaster has led a strong and vibrant South Carolina economy, announcing more than 82,000 new jobs with over $32.9 billion with a B in new capital investment in the state. Under his leadership, the state has made transformative investments in the classroom by expanding full-day, four-year-old kindergarten, raising K-12 teacher pay, and placing a school resource officer in every school. Colleges and universities are becoming more accessible and affordable due to the governor's tuition freeze and is doubling funding for needs-based financial aid for in-state students. Join me in welcoming today's speaker, Governor Henry McMaster.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Seated, please. Y'all, this might be the shortest speech you've heard lately because Scott just told you most of the things I was gonna tell you. I'm happy to be here. Y'all see I've got some notes that I'll look at. They're on paper. They got them typed up and highlighted and written in ink. I got 2 pens in my pocket. I noticed VJ Madison, he was looking at his phone. You see, that's the difference in the generations right there. And I'll tell you why I always have something on paper. At a meeting, there's a big political meeting, thousands of people just a couple of years ago. A very prominent lady was to give the invocation. And before going out in the tent behind the big meeting, I mean, thousands of people out there, she was asking the man in charge of these things, is all the mics working, all of that, all the set up just right? If you test it, yes, ma'am, test it. It's going to work. It's going to work. She says, last time I gave the invocation, we had some hiccups. She said, don't worry, ma'am, be fine. She walked out there in front of all these people and started with her prayer, and the thing went off. Nobody could hear. So they were scampering around. They ran back up and they were trying to turn it back on. They got it back on. And she started talking again. About that time, her telephone went off. And she was saying, I can't talk now. I'm saying the prayer. Anyway, one thing after another, but I think I can top that. I was giving my last, in January, the inaugural address. And as you know, you see those things up in front, they look like glass. Years ago, I thought that was bulletproof stuff for the presidents. It's not that. That's called a teleprompter. And all the words, you have a genius sitting over there following what you're supposed to say, your script, and going along. And of course, you can look this way, you can look that way, and every now and then you look that way, and everybody thinks you just delivering it from memory. Well, I always have a notebook, and I got it numbered by pages and everything, just in case. So here was old Henry giving his inaugural address on the State House steps. All these people, some from other countries with their dignitary robes and things on, and flags all over the place, and the teleprompter went out. And so there I was. Fortunately, I had my paper. So I was able to keep on going, and most people didn't even notice, but I'll tell you, it scared me to death. So I always have paper with me, but I've talked about these things so many times because I'm so proud of South Carolina. And I'll be glad to try to answer some questions. We end it at 1. Okay, so I'll try to leave plenty of time. Well, the good news is, and there's no bad news, the good news is we're really booming. Our state has been growing, been doing things better and better for many years. People all over the state been involved, a lot of great leadership. And I don't think we've made many mistakes, no big ones. If we've made some, everybody makes some, but I think we've done very well. And now we are growing. The Southeast is growing more than any other part of the country. Part of that is because of common sense. In the pandemic, we studied the evidence. It was something new. We put together a group, by the way, called Accelerate SC. Is the mayor here? Knox White was on that committee. He was head of the governmental. Anyway, we had people from all over the state, from agriculture, from business, education, manufacturing, everything, to try to find our way through the pandemic. But we knew that the Constitution says that you cannot take somebody's property from them without due process. You can have eminent domain. The government can take it, but you have to pay them for it. And if you get in a fight over how much it's worth, you go to court and the court decides. Well, we figured that shutting down a business is the equivalent of taking somebody's property. So we had to be very, very careful. Constitution says that. Somebody said, well, this is an emergency. You have to do it anyway. I said, well, that's what the Constitution is for, is emergencies. And I'll take a minute to remind everybody that's forgotten it. That Constitution was created by the 13 states who said there's some things that need to be handled in a one-size-fits-all policy. Everything else, we're going to keep doing everything else. We're going to send certain things to the federal government. But that's all. Interstate commerce, Army, Navy, declaring war, weights and measures. A lot of states had different currency. Can you imagine if all states had their own currency? There'd be no commerce. Those were the things that were expressly given to the federal government. Given to the federal government by the states, not the other way around. I hear people say, well, what rights does the Constitution give to the states? The Constitution doesn't give any rights to the states. The Constitution was created by the states, by the people of the states, to protect their rights given by God from this new government they were creating. Once you understand that, everything falls into place. So that's the context within which we approached the pandemic. And we did the best we could. And it turned out to be, we navigated our way through it very, very well. If you look at some of the other states that went hog wild, they were arresting people getting married in the parking lots at churches. You go into Walmart in some states and they'd have, you could go to this part, but they have a yellow tape where you couldn't go to that. I mean, they were not following the Constitution. Stick with the Constitution and you'd be in good shape. So that's the way we did that. And as a result of that, but also and you see those states that closed down, they're still so, but we aren't. Some of our businesses had their best years yet in 2021 and 2022. And speaking of those numbers, tourism is about 29.29 billion. Agribusiness is about 51 billion. Manufacturing is huge. The numbers vary. The auto industry is somewhere around 27 billion. Aerospace is around 28 billion. And you know of all the Volvo and BMW expanding all over the place, looking at electric vehicles. Just recently, Boeing in Charleston signed a contract with Saudi Arabia, I think 122 of their, whatever their largest airplanes are. I mean, that's billions and billions. You know, in Saudi Arabia, and we asked them, why are you doing that? The princess was over, came to Charleston. We met a lot of ambassadors, never met a real princess. What was her name? Princess Rima. She was quoting country western songs too, American country western. But they are buying those for tourism, because you can't just get to Saudi Arabia real easy. You got to fly to get there. And so that's why they're buying those planes. Not so in South Carolina. Anybody from anywhere that wants to come here to look at all of the glorious things we have can get in the car, can drive in a plane, they can even walk if they're close enough. But we are covered up with great natural beauty. And that is the essence of our tourism. People do come to look at the houses and look at the buildings mainly in Beaufort and Charleston and Camden and Georgetown, because they go way back there, 1700s and so. But after they get to feel looking at those and looking at the architecture and looking at the gates on the gardens in Charleston and those places, they want to go out in the woods. They want to get on the water. They want to find a peace and solitude somewhere, and we have plenty of it, and it's all around here. It's all over the state. We put together a floodwater commission to study water, how much we have, where it goes, how we can make water our friend and quit getting flooded and all that. A man named Tom Mulliken, who's been all over the world, is the head of that. If you want something to read and you like science, get a copy of the Floodwater Commission. It's about 200 pages. It must be 75 PhD type experts that wrote it up. This is really a remarkable and unique document. And following on the heels of that, we created the Office of Resilience. It's a cabinet agency. And we just got, thank you very much, we just got, what was it, $200 million to use to protect the property, to leverage the money that we get from private sources to see that these pristine, beautiful places remain so forever. I just flew up here. Maybe like y'all, you've flown over a lot of states, you look down, you see rocks. If you're out west, you see desert. We don't have deserts. It's green all over. We have to keep it that way. My question is, what's this place going to look like in 100 years? What's it going to look like? Are we going to be all concrete and steel, or are we going to be something else? Well, it's our choice, but we got to make that choice now. And that's one thing that the Floodwater Commission was doing. Jason Elliott, how much was it? 200 million. That's the first big amount of money that we've had to do these kinds of things. We have 20 million acres of land in South Carolina. About 3 million are covered or protected with conservation easements. And then we have national parks and state parks. We really have a great opportunity. We need to grow, and we are growing. I think we are the 6th fastest growing state in the country, something like that. And people from all over the world want to come here. But we need to be smart. And I'll tell you, I don't know if there's a better example than Greenville. I'm old enough to remember when this hotel was condemned. I'm old enough to remember when it wasn't condemned. There's a nice hotel. And then got condemned. About half the businesses were empty on Main Street. And there were tumbleweed going down like in the old westerns, blowing around out there. And look at this place now. In fact, on that point, to digress, gosh, I need about 3 hours to tell you all of this. There was a man named Jeff Uppers, U-P-H-U-R-S. He was the boss of, what's the name of that thing? DC Blocks. Thank you very much, Cody Simpson. Whenever I need something, if I've got a hard question, I ask Cody to answer it. DC Blocks, that's a data storage company. And the mayor was there when we had the dedication, Mayor Knox White. And he said that he wanted to come to the southeast because that's where the growth is. And they store data on your phone, on all that computer stuff. It has to be stored somewhere. And that's one of the places. And they have redundant machines. They got air conditioners that keep the air cool for the air conditioners, and thick concrete block wall, not solid concrete. Anyway, a bomb wouldn't get in there, and that's to protect your data. Anyhow, so he said he got 10 cities to visit from the very expensive site selectors in the South. And he was looking at them, and they had all these statistics. And he said, well, I just can't tell anything by statistics, Bob Knight. He said, I can't tell anything by that. I want to go see. So he got his list, and he got on the plane, and he came to Greenville, and he walked down Main Street and tore up the list and signed the contract to build their facility here. Now he's got another one in Myrtle Beach, where the cable is being laid, is coming either from South America or Europe, is going to come into this country. I mean, those kind of things are just happening. We really have the world in the palm of our hands if we don't mess it up. But that's tourism. That's, as I said, that's about a $29 billion industry. People come to see things, to go to the beach, go to the lake, to go to the mountains, to see the buildings, to see all the glory of what we have. And they spend money. They spend a lot of money. And what do we do with that money? Well, some of it goes into your taxes, and some of that tax money goes into the schools. So you see how tourism and the schools and education are involved. They're related. Well, a lot of other money goes in there too. These manufacturers, they're paying taxes. When you buy something that they build, you pay taxes. They go into school. That raises the teacher pay. The more money we have, the better we can do at that. But you see how the environment and education are related, and also the manufacturers, our economic growth, all interrelated. They're like roots of a tree. They're all interrelated. And you have to have all of them in order to prosper. If we're not educating the children in this state, then we are not going to make it. And I'm very concerned, as you probably are, about the deficits that were created during the pandemic. We got to catch up somehow. And not only that, but we have the people in our state that people all over the world, businesses want to hire to do the work in their plants. I'll say that again. Our people in South Carolina are the ones that people all over the world are getting in line to come to our state to hire our people to do their work. But we have to educate them. We have the best technical college system in the United States. We've provided scholarships, I think 100 million one time. I don't know how many thousands of people have gone through that. But if you want to get on top of the world in South Carolina and you find your way in one of those technical colleges, that's the ticket. That's the train to get on right there. But we have to educate these people. We have to keep the children safe. That's why we have law enforcement officers. We have 1,250 public schools, and I think we've worked up to where we have a certified, trained law enforcement officer in 94 or 95% to keep them safe. So you don't have to worry when your child goes to school. He or she's going to be safe. And we also opened up 4K kindergarten. We're putting money into First Steps, all of that, public and private. 4K kindergarten, it's out there for them to go to. So we have to educate those people. But what they tell me, these business leaders from around the world, I always ask them, why did you pick us? And they say things, they refer to all the incentives, they refer to the workforce, they refer to the beauty of the place, because some of those executives are going to come live here. Now, the people that they hire are from here, but the people that they bring with them, and they're usually a handful at least, they go live here, and they're looking for a good place to live. And I guarantee you, any one of them that walks down Main Street in Greenville will say, okay, this is perfect, because that's what they've done. But so what is it that they're looking for? Well, it's a culture. It's an attitude. It's a love thy neighbor attitude. It's all of those things. And I tried to determine where it came from, and I found the answer in Walter Edgar's book. It's A Great History of South Carolina. And the way Professor Edgar of the University of South Carolina explained it was that it goes way back to the beginning. First, you remember when all the explorers from England and France and Spain were looking for places to go, they were all going back and telling their sovereigns that the most beautiful place in the whole new world was what we today call South Carolina. Lush growth, water abundant, great growing seasons, all that sort of stuff. So there's paradise. They found paradise and they called it that. But what happened next? Then people started coming in, and according to Walter Edgar, there were, I think it's either 89 European countries were in the first group, and there were something like 14 to 19 West African cultures in the first group. And then there were, of course, the Native Americans or indigenous people or various names. They are already here, and there are 25 or 30 of those, and their names are on the rivers: Congaree, Saluda, Broad, PD, all of those, Waccamaw. All of Waccamaw means between the waters, by the way, between the Atlantic Ocean and the river. But all of them were there, and we fought hurricanes, we fought tornadoes, we fought floods. We still fighting with the floods. We've been in every war there's been. I mean, everything that could happen to anybody has happened to us. And here we are today, and we work together, we get along, and we have the attitude and the type of culture that these business people say, those are the people I want to work in my company. Those are the ones that'll show up. Mark Clark, a great general, 4-star general in World War II, later was president of Citadel, I think it was 1954 or 5, one of his last years there, said there's more patriotism in South Carolina per square inch than any place in the world. Now, how did it get there? I don't know, but I think it's those things that I just described. But you go to other places and you don't see the type of interaction among total strangers that you have here. We go riding around the state and stop somewhere to get a Coca-Cola, and the lady at the cash register still called me honey, sweetie, darling, baby, all that kind of stuff. They called Cody Pumpkin one time. But one of these fellows told me, he said, where I come from, he says, any time a stranger will speak to you on the streets when he's getting ready to rob you. But those are the kind of things that we need to realize. It's taken many, many years to build that, but here we are. And it's been recognized now. So what we have to do is be sure that we promote and allow economic growth, the kind we want, that we educate the young people and the old people who want to be educated, and that we protect this environment that we all live and work in. And if we do that, there is no stopping us. And the money is coming in now. We've had the best year of economic development in 2022 we've ever had, with $10.27 billion and 14,000 new jobs. That was in 2022. It's been phenomenal. Some other things we're the sixth best state for broadband. We're working particularly with Congressman Clyburn's office to see that everybody who's that we can reach in the rural areas, especially, is eligible for broadband. And we're trying to get it to where we can just use it on your telephone to get everything out there to all the people. Other things that we're doing, we're having, I want to invite everybody to a summit that we're going to have on, for the 2 years I've been the chairman of the Southern States Energy Board, and we had a meeting last year in Charleston, and we're having a meeting this year, September 17th through 19th of this year, that's next month, Sunday through Tuesday, in this building. So if you want to come and find out some exciting things, come to that meeting. Cost you something. You got to sign up. It's not much. You'll enjoy it. But you see, we're having these leaders come to our state. They like what they see. They bring these executives from all the big companies. They like what they see, and it's allowing us to move forward. Just a few other points before I stop and see if anybody's got any questions. Let's see. I mentioned this, officers. We have to understand that we have 8 major military bases. This is a military state. The thing these leaders, as I said a moment ago, I think we have the confluence of 2 great forces. One is a military tradition and one is a Judeo-Christian tradition. And they're together, as I described, in a place that is really paradise. And that's what has made all the difference. So if we can educate everyone and keep them safe, then I think we'll be in great shape. Let me just mention one thing. I don't want to finish on a bad note, but I do want to tell you. The other day, you got to be careful what your children are doing. We had a bill that Brandon Guffey sponsored to make, they call it sextortion on your cell phone. Well, there are criminals all over this world. And when I was in the U.S. Attorney's office, in order for these maniacs to get the children, they have to be face to face. And there was a man named Ken Wooden who wrote a book, Wooden, you can look him up. And we had him for a conference, and he explained that those predators then had to be face to face, and they had different lures. He called them child lures. And I can only remember a couple of them. One of them was the puppy lure, where always a man would go to somewhere around a school, see a child, and say, I'm looking for the owner of the puppy I found. What puppy? What child can resist a puppy? Did you lose a puppy? No, I didn't lose a puppy. Would you like to see the puppy? Maybe you can, then, there you go. The other one was the police lure, where the predator would show up in a dark limousine wearing a dark suit and get out and say, your mama was in the hospital, asked me to come get you. I'm Officer Smith. Boom, there you go. Well, they don't need to be there anymore. They don't need to be face to face. They are face to face with your child 24 hours a day. All they have to do is go online. And as I say, we passed a law, Jason, just the other day, a few months ago, we had a ceremonial signing in Rock Hill. The family was there and all of them. What had happened, this young man, he's 17 years old. He went online late at night. Some fine looking young woman came on through some, all that social stuff, somehow picked him out. And they started talking and she sent some nude pictures to him. And after a while, she asked him to send some nude pictures to her, which he did. He's 17 now. And next thing he knows, on his phone, they're saying that if you don't send us however much money, we're going to publish these pictures all throughout all your connections in social media. So the young man sent him, I think it's $25 on Venmo, something like that. Because that's all they had. They said that's not enough. And they kept pounding and pounding and pounding till he went and got a gun and put it to his forehead and killed himself. His daddy heard a noise hit the floor. He went around upstairs. He thought he'd just fallen in the bathroom. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Thought he'd just fallen in the bathroom, but he hadn't. He saw the pistol and smelled the gunpowder, and that was that. And as I was preparing to go up there last week for that ceremonial signing, I was watching television. There was a story about a 17-year-old young man in Michigan who had done exactly the same thing. And as I was getting ready to come up here today, I learned that Venmo is now advertising that youngsters from 13 to 17 years old can now get an account on Venmo and send money all over the place. So those are the kind of things we're dealing with. I mean, they're the criminal element. They are out there. They're all over the place. And typically these kind of people are not even in this country. They're in these other countries, and it's hard to get them back. I was U.S. attorney. We extradited some drug smugglers from Australia, and they were located through Interpol. I mean, it is a tangle, even if you can find them. So that's what we're facing. And that's why we want to have those mental health counselors in the schools. That's why we want those law officers in the schools, because those, I mean, you just can't make children. It takes a while to get them. You got to grow them up, but you got to educate every single one of our children. And part of that is educating them against this danger. Now, it's a difficult task, but there's no place in the world that can do it better, I believe, than we can. The rules we use in my office are communicate, collaborate, and cooperate. I learned how to value that when I was U.S. attorney. We went after those smugglers I mentioned a little while ago. We caught, I think it's 133 of them. We caught them and sent them most of them to jail. But if we as communities, if we people in government, people in the various very important places in the communities, if we work together, stick together, talk to each other, communicate, collaborate, and cooperate, I think our future is so bright that we're going to be surprised at how good things can be. And we tell some of the businesses that come visit that are looking to invest hundreds of millions of dollars, that if you want something done right and want it done fast, you come to South Carolina. I finished with Scout Motors. They're investing, how much is it? $2 billion for electric vehicles in Columbia. By the way, you know what the horsepower, anybody in here got one of those things? Nobody? Well, I rode in one the other day for the first time, and the man said, I said, what's the horsepower? He said, 1,020 horsepower. Now that's more than at Darlington. I've been to Darlington, and they go about 200 miles an hour down that stretch, and it'll scare you if you're standing out there. I like to get on the roof and listen to them go by. When they go electric, you probably won't be hearing much. But 1,020 horsepower. I said, I don't believe it. I was sitting in the front, and my security man sitting in the back, and the boy said, watch this. Hit that pedal. I want to say gas pedal, but it ain't gas. Hit that, wasn't any noise. All I knew was bam, we were back in the seats. I was petrified. Before I knew it, we'd gone 2 blocks and were about to run into the car in front of us. Let me out of here. But that's coming. But Scout Motors said, and they make electric vehicles, that the time it took from beginning to end, once they had done the preliminaries and got serious with South Carolina, was 60 days. They said that's a world's record. Nobody moves that fast. Said most places you go, they go just shuffling papers for 60 days after you tell them that they want to come here. But we didn't do that. That's because we communicate, collaborate, cooperate. Most of us are cousins anyway, or related some kind of way. I'll tell you, Lindsay, y'all know Lindsay. Lindsay's funny. Lindsay said when he was a young lawyer up in Oconee County, he had a lot of country folks coming in this little practice up there. And he said he'd get some of the funniest questions. He said one of them he got from time to time was like this. They said, well, Lawyer Graham, if we married in South Carolina and divorced in Georgia, are we still cousins? But whether the answer is yes or no, we're a special kind of people, and we need to be sure that we take care of our people. If I got any time left, I'll be glad to try to answer questions. I'm not sure the reason. I know the reason some of the casualty insurance companies are bailing at us because we have so many hurricanes. I'm not sure what I think is a large answer. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sure there are a number of factors, but I do know that we got a health problem. We don't eat right. We don't get enough exercise. We don't go outside enough. I mean, we got, you name it. If we were all real healthy and didn't have any need for health insurance, we'd have health insurance companies all over the world coming in. So I'm confident that health is a part of it, but I'm sure other states have the same problem. Not much of an answer, but that's the best I can do from right now. Any more? Okay, well, y'all, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor McMaster, for all your update on South Carolina here. That was wonderful. Oh, and I'm Lisa Mangione, since we didn't have our soft opening today. Please don't forget your cart bucket. Everybody on the table, who's matching this month? Is that person in this room? Because I don't remember who it is. Oh, Wade is matching. So everybody take out your money, put a bunch in there, and he'll be matching this month. Thank you. Roger has a quick announcement for Kringle.
$124 shopping days till Christmas. 107 days until Kringle. Do you have my slide up there? Anyhow, we're doing our official kickoff next Friday at the Greenville Drive. Same thing we've done the last couple of years. Jeff Brown from the Drive was just here. He just stepped out, but we're going to kick off next Friday, and we need some help. Not a lot of help, but we need people to help us set up. We need people to dress like elves. We'll provide the costumes, but we need people to dress like elves and participate in a snowball throwing contest during one of the inning breaks. And we need some people to help tear down. On your table, you have 3 barcodes on the screen. There are 3 barcodes, QR codes. Please scan, please sign up. We just need a few people to help us out. We're not doing concessions this year because I didn't want to try and staff both, but we need probably about 15, 20 people to help us out. So please sign up. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. And on the other side, you have 2 QR codes for t-shirts. If you act quickly, you can get one back in time before you go to volunteer at that event. And there are 2 samples of them out near the badges. You can check those out. It'll be great if you could buy yourself a t-shirt and go down for that. And I think I'm a little too tall to be an elf, Roger, but there's some people in here. Okay, anybody volunteering at Alexander Elementary, an email will be going out this week that you need to be registered and approved by Greenville County Schools. So pay attention to that when it comes out. Also on the table, you have all of our dates. I'll skip that in the interest of time. Make sure you come to Thursday on 9/1. No, 9/1 is Roger's event. I'm sorry. The first Thursday of the month, Thursday at Yee Hall this month. That would be great. And we do have a book here for the governor to sign that we will be donating to Alexander Elementary School. That's the school we do a lot of work with here in Greenville County, and it will go to their library. And if you all please stand now for the four-way test, which they moved it. It was a trick. It's over this side now for you, but I saw that earlier and on the screen. Okay. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.